Hey, Facebook, it's Elizabeth Nader with New Jersey Women for Trump. If you are on now, you are certainly on replay. So go ahead and tell us you're on replay, where you're watching from. Comment away because we like to go back and look at your comments and questions. And as the rest of you come on, as Facebook serves us up, welcome to this page. I am so honored and excited to be able to interview tonight U.S. Senate candidate Rick Mehta. Rick, welcome to New Jersey Women for Trump.
Elizabeth, good evening. It's such a pleasure to be here with you tonight.
Well, we're thrilled about it. This is a huge audience that love Trump and they love voting red. So it's important that they get to know you and what you stand for. So we want to make sure you have a chance tonight to reach those who have yet to hear your story. Ballots are going out. Voting is starting. This is a timely interview, Rick. So let's start with your background because it's important for people to understand where you come from, what your story is, and why you decided to run for Senate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. You're right. It is timely. Elizabeth, this is one of the most important election years we've ever had. And I'll tell you right now, for everyone that's out there watching, this is no longer about Republicans versus Democrats. This is about democracy versus socialism and our freedoms. And that's who I am. I'm sitting here ready to fight for you, fight for New Jersey. I'm so honored to be running with President Trump. We have one of the strongest Republican tickets we've ever had in New Jersey, starting right at the top with President Trump and Vice President Pence, down to Rick Mehta for United States Senate, and then your congressional candidates all the way down. And don't forget your local candidates, because they are just as vital to our political ecosystem, and we need more Republicans in our state government than ever before.
Absolutely.
So let me tell you about my story and why I jumped in this race. And I'm so excited about how much momentum we've created, because I'm a pretty simple guy for the most part. You know, my father, he immigrated here 50 years ago with only $100 in his pocket. He flew into JFK Airport, 2 feet of snow on the ground. He didn't know a soul in this country. He came here through the legal process. He took the bus to Scranton, Pennsylvania. He opened up a phone book, looked for an Indian-sounding name. He called them. They took him in for the night and gave him a hot meal. Wow. And that's how we got our start in this country. In fact, my father met my mother at Temple University. They were two, I like to call them lab nerds. They met at the laboratory at Temple University. They fell in love. They got married in Philadelphia. And that's a similar story to how my wife and I met. We met at Rutgers University 20 years ago. We've been married for 10. We got 3 beautiful little boys. In fact, I just celebrated National Sons Day with them. Yeah. I took them on a campaign event in Edison on Sunday. And we are just having a great time on this campaign. So, you know, during school, I went to pharmacy school. That's where my wife and I met. And I worked at Robert Wood Johnson Hospital. I worked overnights to put myself through law school. Then I went to Rutgers Law in Newark. And from law school, I went to the FDA, starting under the Bush administration, where I fought against unapproved drugs, opioids, and many other illegal activities that pharmaceutical companies were doing. I would enforce against them. I was a compliance officer, a consumer safety officer. I was a civilian who was honored to serve our country. From there, I worked at the health department. And believe you me, Elizabeth, and I know we'll talk a little bit about it today, there's no one that truly understands or appreciates what's going on with COVID and our failed response by our governor than me. Someone who ran a health department and ran all the health inspections for every hospital, long-term care facility, and nursing home. And from there, I started my own businesses. I've worked in medical innovation for years. I own a biotech company. I'm proud of that company. They're developing a therapeutic alternative to COVID, an alternative to vaccines, an antibody. And I own a professional services firm. And so the bottom line is we have came from nothing and we've achieved the American dream. And I'm so proud of our story and my family's story and all that we've done. And I saw what was going on in New Jersey, and I had to jump into this race because I'm just tired of the politics that are being played, the corruption, the high taxes, and the lack of accountability that our elected officials have towards the people that they're supposed to serve. And Cory Booker, he's no different than any of those cronies in Trenton, where that they all work together to create it harder to raise a family, harder to earn a living, and harder to keep, maintain, and grow a business in this state. As a small business owner, I feel that impact directly, Elizabeth. So
yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, let me share my story here.
I love your story, and it touches on so many things that people can relate to, and it absolutely paints a picture of the American dream. And so you're running to unseat Cory Booker. I'm not sure what he's doing for New Jersey, but all I know is that New Jersey is in trouble, as someone just posted. We're in trouble, and people are leaving and fleeing. I want to talk about the fact that you're running to unseat a Democrat, but you are actually part of the walkaway community, really, because you, like other people we have interviewed who are running for Republican office, you left the Democratic Party in 2012. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell you, Elizabeth, this is something that's exciting. It's where many folks that used to be Democrats like myself 8 years ago are waking up to see that the party left them. Many that aren't involved in the political process. In fact, myself, I'm not a career politician. In fact, I think that's one of my strongest traits. I've started businesses. I've had a lot of accomplishments, but I'm not here to build my career in politics off the backs of our proud communities like Cory Booker. So 8 years ago, I left the Democrat Party, and I never looked back, because they are a party of socialism. They are a party that doesn't care about the average hardworking person. And you know what? In New Jersey, a lot more people are waking up. Where Democrats outnumber us 2-1, we're closing the gap on that one. Now, they may have had some more registrations, but I got to tell you, I don't know how much I believe those are truthful registrations. Up and down the state, probably the best job interview I've ever been on for the last 12 months. And I can't begin to tell you how many people I've talked to that say, I used to be a Democrat, but no more.
Yeah.
Trump let me open up my eyes. And now I see that the party's left us, that this is a party that the Republican Party is about, regardless of race, religion, creed, where you come from. It's about hard work. It's about humble beginnings. And it's about the belief that the American dream is available to anyone willing to chase it. And I'm so proud that my family's chased it, that I've chased it, my sister and my wife, and we've lived the American dream. And that resides with the principles and the philosophies of the Republican Party. And I'll tell you, I've always been a conservative. That's the funny thing. Yeah. I've always been a conservative, but the Democrat Party was too at one point. In fact, there are over 21 million pro-life Democrats. I myself and my wife, we're pro-life. We're very staunch supporters of making sure that we protect our children. As you know, we have 3 of them, whether they're born or unborn. And that's very important. And every child, whether they're born or unborn, should have opportunities in our state and our country. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm fighting. So I'd encourage many others to not be shy. We're a big tent, like Ronald Reagan said.
It's
and
true.
We're reaching out and bringing in new demographics and so many people back into our tent that have the same conservative beliefs that we do.
It's true. And you know what? Every rally I go to, just like you, I can't believe how many people are walking away. And it's so exciting to see that energy coming into the party. And, you know, you mentioned Trump. One of the best things we could ever do is to put a businessman in the White House. It's been such an advantage for us and the American dream and everything that goes along with that. And so I want you to talk about small business. It is the backbone of the United States economy. Without small business, we really have nothing. So how do you differ from Cory Booker there? What would you do to support small business, especially in the age of COVID?
Well, I'll tell you right now, Elizabeth, the biggest difference between me and Cory Booker is that I do my job. Yeah. Okay, that man has missed more than 65% of the votes in Senate. I mean, what did we send him there for if he can't even do that job? You know, that's an embarrassment. That's not a record that New Jersey should be on. He's missed more votes than any senator or congressman or woman in Washington. So what is he doing? He's out there prancing around with Lady Gaga and his big tech Google friends out in secret summits. That's unacceptable. Right now, our small businesses are getting crushed, Elizabeth. I mean, more than 60% had to be shut down. More than 30% may never reopen. And that's devastating because they are the backbone of our economy. In fact, like my father-in-law, he's in the food industry here in New Jersey. He's had a business for 30 years, and he was scared that he may never be able to reopen. Yeah. His business is down more than 70%. That's scary. And now I'll tell you right now, because, you know, a lot of dining, indoor dining, restaurants are suffering. You know, they are. And the gyms are suffering too. And I'll tell you, you know, we haven't seen the real science with this governor. It's actually quite incredulous.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. New Jersey has had more COVID deaths than any other state per 100,000. And you know, most of those deaths, more than half of those deaths, were in our nursing home and long-term care facilities. And who called the shots on moving patients from hospitals to long-term care facilities, basically to the slaughterhouse?
Right.
Governor Murphy.
Right.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. And that's why I'm standing up for our small businesses. Because when 47% of the deaths are in ages 80 and up, you can stratify. Now, I'm a former public health official. I'm a scientist and I got a background in this. And like I told you before, I ran a health department and we did inspections. Now, one health department person has gone to tour the gyms, like for example, the Attilas gym. And I'll tell you a little story.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Or any of these restaurants. I was in Edison on Sunday walking through and I spoke to a businessman who owned a restaurant and he was practically on the verge of tears. We did a Facebook Live. I'll share that one with you. And he said, not one person from the municipal, local, or city level, now it's a Democrat-run city, has even reached out to see how he's doing.
Yeah.
Can they work together to reopen? And where's the science that supports 25% versus 50%?
Yeah, where is it?
25%. There's none. And we've asked for it. We've asked for it. We've asked the governor, and nothing's been provided. So all of this isn't about disease control. This is about voter control.
Yeah.
And we see it. And I'm standing up for it. And believe you me, this race is far from over. There's going to be some more things coming down the pike to challenge this governor and get our state back to reasonable common sense again.
Yeah, well, you mentioned where is the science, and we're all saying that, and we look at our state government, and it seems like no one is sticking up for us. And then we look to our senators. I don't know what they're doing, and you start to feel like you're on an island here in New Jersey, Jersey jail. Like we're never getting out of it. This is never ending. He just extended the emergency environment for another 30 days, emergency order. So it's very frustrating for us that no one is speaking on our behalf. Now, you are a scientist. I mean, you have the pharmaceutical training, you have the healthcare training. I do need to ask you, because people are waking up to a lot of these issues they never noticed before. And I want to know where you stand on something specifically, because a lot of people emailed me about this. As a talk about COVID and a COVID vaccine is, really becoming more and more common. There has been some talk of a federal mandate through maybe the Commerce Act or something, a federal mandate of a COVID vaccine. Where do you stand on a COVID vaccine mandate, or any vaccine mandate for that matter?
Yeah, let's talk about this, because this is an important issue. Now, I'll tell you right now, first, let's go back a little bit to talk about the governor. As you said, he extended the Public Health Emergency Act for a seventh consecutive time.
Yeah.
There is no checks and balances in our state. So those that are watching, get out and vote Republican this year. We got 2 Democratic senators that don't care about you. In fact, I don't think Cory Booker knows the state past south of Route 78. Yeah. And that's frustrating, because middle New Jersey, central Jersey, South Jersey, they continue to get forgotten about. You got a concentrated patch in Newark that he kind of, and I'll tell you, he's not really well liked in Newark either, But let's talk about that, because the governor extended it for a 7th term. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't think, based on the data that I've seen, that a public health emergency exists. Are we in a public health crisis? Maybe. But to rise to the level of an emergency where he can actually execute orders without due process, without the legislative body that we elected, the men and women that represent us, to do without, that makes no sense. So stay tuned for that one. We're going to be challenging him on that.
Great.
But the governor basically said that for us to get out of this jail, like you called it, we need the case transmission rate, the positivity rate, to be down to 0. That's unheard of. You don't even have that with influenza, and the case fatality rate has been the lowest that we've ever seen. So this is all politics.
Yep.
Now, I want to get back to the question you asked me, because it's an important one, and I get this question a lot. What about the federal government mandating vaccines? It's not a question we can answer right now. First of all, I'll tell you right now, I'm a constitutionalist and a law professor. I strongly believe, now I teach, believe it or not, I teach health law at Georgetown University. We cannot trample on our constitutional rights and our religious freedoms for the sake of an emergency that isn't couched in science.
Yeah.
We don't have an approved COVID vaccine. There should be no discussions of mandating that right now. There should be no discussions of mandating that without first taking into consideration the Constitution and making sure that religious exemptions are upheld.
Yeah.
This is why the confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett, is so critical right now. This is why. Because I can guarantee you many of them are going to go directly to the Supreme Court. Our
Yeah.
democracy is at stake right now.
Yeah, you're right. The Supreme Court is such a big deal, and that brings up a memory, a Spartacus moment, right? The last time that we had a Supreme Court justice being confirmed, the only thing, if you ask me as a New Jersey resident, and I'm being honest, the only thing I remember about Cory Booker is when he said, "I'm having my Spartacus moment," which actually turned out to be a kind of a useless moment because the emails he was talking about were already released. But if that is the moment we all point to, if that's what he's running on. When is this guy going to debate you? When do you get to talk to him? When do you get to show the state of New Jersey the differences between the two of you?
Well, let me tell you, Cory Booker's had a lot of useless moments. He's been one of the laziest do-nothing senators that this country's ever had, honestly. Now, I'll tell you, we have been challenging him to a debate for weeks now. In fact, on September 9th, he went on local Channel 12 News. They asked him the question, and he said, "Oh, yes, I'll debate Rick Mehta." We sent him an official notice the next day. I know journalists have reached out to him, say, "I'd love to host that debate." People want to know who to vote for. They want to know where I stand and where Cory Booker stands.
Right.
And people deserve the right to know that. And he's ducked us every single day. He hasn't answered any calls, any questions related to this. We've been on social media. We will not stop. We'll have every, obstacle or roadblock thrown at us by the Democrats this year, but we will overcome because I'm resilient. And I'm built with resolve. I'll tell you that right now. So he hasn't seen the last of me on this one. We're not going away. We're going to press the issue because it's not for me. It's for the people of New Jersey. They need to know. And Cory Booker should be held accountable for what he's done or the lack of, because he's done nothing for the last 6 years other than attack President Trump with the useless witch hunts and impeachment trials that just wasted billions of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. One other thing I'm going to mention right now, because the first thing I do when I get to Washington is I'm going to demand a Senate hearing on why so many of our elderly died in those nursing homes.
Good.
Every single nursing home and long-term care facility accepts federal dollars.
Yeah.
They're regulated by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. So if anything, CMS, and now there's a federal investigation. I'm proud of that. President Trump did the right thing. But the Senate should have accountability to that and call a hearing to demand answers as to why those 5 Democrat governors issued orders to move those patients into nursing homes without risk mitigation plans, and why they're keeping the gym shut down for so long. It makes absolutely no sense. Someone has to be held accountable. I'm the guy that's going to be holding them accountable when I get to Washington.
And that's what we want to hear, Rick, because you're actually doing something that affects our state. I mean, I try to look at what Cory is co-sponsoring or sponsoring, and I'm not finding anything that's about New Jersey. I mean, he may as well be, I don't know, a senator for California. There's nothing about it that feels like it's issues that any of us have. And so for him not to debate you is a disservice to the voters. And I know some people are posting now that they already voted for you. They already sent in their ballot. But, that's awesome. But listen, people deserve the right to know. They deserve information. And the fact that he is avoiding you, to me speaks volumes. And so we want you to keep at it. Now, your background in medicine, in the medical field, in pharmaceuticals, also in business, I want you to talk about one of the focus that you want to take to Washington, which is bringing back medical manufacturing. Now, this couldn't be a more timely issue as we all discover that the Obama administration pretty much gave away all of that to China. So talk about that.
I mean, I saw it with my own eyes when I was with the FDA. It's unacceptable. Let me tell you exactly what happened. Our medical manufacturing, our active pharmaceutical ingredients, more than double plants that manufacture those ingredients opened up in China under the Obama-Biden administration, with Cory Booker being senator, and more than half of those shuttered right here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. And let me tell you, this is not just an economic interest, because when I get to Washington, we're going to be passing laws that create incentive programs to build on the things that President Trump has already done to bring essential medicines back to America. We're going to be building on that to get all our medical manufacturing back here. And I'm going to be the guy fighting to bring it back to New Jersey. Now, let me explain one thing, because this is important. This directly relates to why we have high price of drugs as well. When you have so many drugs being made overseas, you already see before COVID, we had other public health crises, which is specifically contamination issues in our supply chain. Those contamination issues relate to shortages, and shortages create demand, and demand raises the price of drugs. It's simple economics.
Yeah.
But the worst of it, it's not just an economic issue, it's a national security issue. When you have a communist regime making your pharmaceutical supply, that's unacceptable. That happened under Obama, Biden. That's going to continue to happen under the Biden-Harris administration, and that's going to continue to happen with Booker as if he gets reelected. That will not happen with Dr. Rick Mehta. I'll tell you that right now. So when we start to bring those API manufacturing plants back to America, back to New Jersey, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. But more importantly, we're going to safeguard our supply chain, which I think is the most important. And third, we're going to lower the price of drugs. Now, President Trump has done a great job, but those savings are going to be realized both for the companies and for the patients, and that's critical. Now, the last thing I'll mention about this is that it's Cory Booker who continues to take special interest money from pharmaceutical companies. Look it up. Okay, it's all public records under the FEC. He's taken hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies. So there is a motive-driven reason for him to want to help companies get their manufacturing overseas to manufacture cheaper, but increase the price for you. That's not what I'm all about. As a health professional, I've taken an oath to make sure that we do no harm and that we put patients first.
Yeah. Well, somebody just posted, this seems like common sense. And unfortunately, I think, lately for sure, common sense it seems to be something that's difficult to find. So it's nice to hear someone speak in common terms like that. Someone else posted a question about us being a sanctuary state and how the people have really no say in that. From the standpoint of a U.S. senator, what is your position? I know I can guess because your parents are legal immigrants and all of that, but what would you do in the whole illegal immigration issue and what our governor has done to our state regarding that, from driver's license to education to all the things he's offered up for free?
Oh, we're going to fight the attorney general. It's ridiculous what they've done to this state. It's unacceptable. You got more going to those that break the law than those that follow it. And for so many things, whether it's immigration or it's the ridiculous amount of controls put on our right to carry arms in this state. We're going to fix that. We're going to get back to protecting our Constitution. Now, on the immigration front, there's two things we need to do. We need to continue to secure our border. That's not just an immigration issue or an illegal immigration issue. That's also a public health issue by stopping the flow of narcotics into our country. People forget that. Where do you think they come from? They come from the south border. They come from China. And that's a major issue because right now under COVID, you've seen spikes of opioid abuse. That hasn't gone away. That's still a public health issue. Governor Murphy has us thinking that we're a one public health issue state. We're not. Mental health cases continue to climb. So do suicide rates. That's unacceptable.
Right.
So we're going to have to get back to common sense, rational legislating again. We're going to fight against governors and attorney generals that abuse their powers. Sanctuary states is just another word of saying we're protecting criminals, and that's unacceptable.
Right.
And so we're going to get back to good. But at the same time, we do need to reform our visa program. There's a backlog. In fact, legal immigrants are leaving our country too, and many of them provide for that innovation engine that's created. It's time that we put America first, and it's time that we use programs like immigration and visa, which is a privilege, not a right, to get our economy back to work and use it to create opportunities and innovation.
Right. That's great. And so you'd go after the attorney general for that, which is awesome. That's incredible. That's great. And someone wants to know if you can please impeach Murphy after you win. Of course you can't, but you can.
You better believe it.
Survive. Hopefully we only have to go to next fall on that one, but it's pretty painful. We need people fighting for us, Rick. We really, really do. And all of your ideas are great. They're common sense, and you're speaking to the heart of all the issues we have. And I've seen you fight for the little guy. I know you put your campaign headquarters at Attila's gym. Tell us about that really quickly, because that got you a lot of news, but it was really a move that touched everybody's heart, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I reached out to Ian and Frank. We met at a rally at Point Pleasant Beach when we were up there speaking about these ridiculous lockdowns. And he was telling me, I said, hey, let's chat. And Ian was telling me a little bit about what was going on. And I followed their story. I saw what was going on. As I mentioned before, I was a head of a health inspectional team. And I went there and I visited them. And they said, Rick, you're the only politician guy that's ever come out here to talk to us, to see what's going on. And I said, well, let me tell you, I've done many inspections in my life. And they walked me through. And I said, this is pitch perfect. You guys have done a great job. You're never going to live in an aseptic environment. You're never going to live in a sterile bubble. What you guys have done is lowered the level of risk. And so that's fantastic. And I said, then I saw them continue to get beaten up. And I saw that at some point, Governor Murphy made this into a political chess game. He did this.
That's right.
And I said, no more. You know, you're not going to try to put the kibosh on our businesses, not under my watch. I talked to them. I said, you know what? You see Governor Murphy marching, whatever, peaceful protest, shoulder to shoulder, sometimes without a mask on, and you're telling me they can't work out? We're going to do the same thing. And so that's what we did. I asked them to be part of my finance committee, and we opened up a campaign rally site there, and we said, checkmate, Governor. Because now if he arrests me or he arrests them, he's impinging on an active U.S. Senate campaign. And I'd love to see him do that. And he's his deputy attorney general. You know what he did? The coward that he is, he took to Twitter to try to disparage us, know, and try to, attack the way that we were raising funds. So anything they continue to throw at us, we're not going to falter. We're going to stand up. These are our constitutional rights. And when you got the Constitution on your back, you feel pretty strong.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue out there. In fact, let me just put a plug. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing another rally down there. Come and visit. Okay. I tell you, overnight, we had over 800 volunteers sign up. Many of them Democrats, by the way, Republicans, because this was no longer a political thing. This was a policy over politics. This was not a partisan issue anymore. This was, everyone saw the hypocrisy, the palpable hypocrisy that Governor Murphy was pushing. And so everyone is standing shoulder to shoulder with us.
That's awesome. There's been a lot of hypocrisy. Rick, your campaign is so full of smart ideas. I love the fact that you are aggressively going after the things that represent all of us. This isn't about you. You're not looking for your Spartacus moment, although you could give Kirk Douglas a run for his money. I don't know, but not Corey. But listen, we appreciate that very much. And your support of the president and your support of, his pick for the Supreme Court, the fact that you're a constitutionalist, all these things matter to us in New Jersey. And we want you to win. We want to be represented. We want to have a voice. And we have literally been masked and muffled, literally, in this state. And no one stands up for us. And that's how we all feel.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you right now, you have a fighter in me. We're going to continue to fight the good fight. We're going to continue to stand up. Yep. We're outnumbered, but we're not outsmarted. And we're going to continue to, do the right thing. And when you feel like you're doing the right thing, they can't stop you. And I appreciate everyone watching that's voted for me. Go and tell 10 of your friends.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if they're Democrats, doesn't matter if they're independents or Republicans, tell them to vote. This is probably one of the most important election years we've ever had. President Trump can win New Jersey. He needs Rick Mehta to do so as well. Yeah. And we're going to continue to hold our stronghold in the Senate. We're going to get President Trump 4 more years.
Yep.
We're going to flip the House. And then we're going to save our country.
I love it. I love it all. Sign me up. I love it. So, speaking of that, I want to make sure before we go that we talk about voting, because I can't say this enough. Everywhere I go, I post all day long. We are not voting in person, and the lawsuits are not going to get us there in time. So let that process take its course for the next election when Murphy's running. But right now, guys, we got to vote correctly, get that mail-in ballot, vote early, follow the directions. Make sure that you take it to a drop box or you hand deliver it to your board of elections. So, and if, by the way, you know what, Rick, we're already hearing about a lot of a mess with ballots. And I've seen the county Republican parties are asking people, please call them if you know of ballot issues, ballots for deceased people, triple ballots, whatever that is, to let them know. And they're actually getting that to the Trump campaign. And I've heard the president read off some of those statistics. So we've got to vote correctly, everyone. And this has been a tough, strange time to run a campaign in the world of COVID, Rick. So we need everybody to spread the word about you. You haven't had the opportunities as a candidate that you normally would have in this COVID world, but you've done an amazing job. Tell people how they can get more information, website, all of that, donations, just let them know.
Absolutely. Well, Elizabeth, I really appreciate you getting the message out. You're right. I mean, this is a very important election year. Everyone has to vote. Unfortunately, and again, we're going to continue to fight this universal voting issue, but that's what Governor Murphy's done. It is a universal vote by mail issue, and we are going to have no choice but to get out there and vote.
Right.
Go ahead and fill out your ballots. If people need help, help them. And tell 10 of your friends. That's the thing that I'll challenge you today. And go to rickfornj.com. That's RIKFORNJ.com. We have the locations on our website for where you can drop off in a secure location. Yeah. But the one thing I'll tell you, because I've heard this a lot on the campaign trail, is that, well, my vote's going to get lost or they're going to rip it up or anything. Doesn't matter. You got to vote.
Gotta vote.
You got to vote. It's going to be by mail. We got to overwhelm them in numbers. There will be some degree of fraud, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's a game of statistics. And if we overwhelm them in numbers, there's only so much games that they're going to be able to play. We can do this, guys. We got to get together and we can do it.
Yeah.
Unlike Cory Booker, I answer my phone calls. I answer my emails. We get to your messages as quick as we can. In fact, I give my cell phone number to everybody in the state.
I love it.
Call me. Do what you got to do. Talk to our team members. Go to my website. Just vote. Help a friend. If we all come together and help each other out, we're one big community in this one. We're going to get past this. We're going to overcome. We get me into the Senate, and I guarantee you, Phil Murphy will be out of here next year.
Oh, my gosh. Guarantee. That was a guarantee, everybody.
That is a guarantee. rickfornj.com. RIKFORNJ.com. If you can't donate your time, donate your money. If you can't donate your money, donate your time. But whatever you do, get out there, get active, and get excited.
Yeah.
We have only 36 more days left, but they are the most important 36 days. And for me, every day is election day.
Yep, that's true. You got it. Well, that is a perfect ending. I can't end it better than that, Rick. Thank you so much. This has been great. We will be sharing this video. We will have a lot of viewership afterwards. I know that. And so this will continue to get the message out, but we're very excited about your campaign. I can't wait to get my ballot and fill in that oval next to your name. So best of luck to you. And I hope we can all celebrate together on November 4th or whatever day things actually finish in this state. But we won't get into that, right, Rick? But we're just excited about your campaign. Best of luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Really appreciate the support.
All right, guys. We'll see you all next week.